we need our skin lube tub, because that's what's going to allow the heel and lace pad to stick to her skin, okay, without kind of falling off. So we don't need that amount. We just need a teeny dollop, okay, because otherwise it's going to be slip sliding on them, and we don't want that. We want this to really be stuck in place. So let me just get all my thoughts. Okay, so what we're going to have them do is always engage up into dorsiflexion, and the foot will get tired, and they're going to start to, and you're just going to have to kind of keep engaging them up. So here's our Qda spray, which we are going to use, especially when the athlete is going out to play in any kind of practice, competition, match game, whatever. Unless they've got some kind of allergy, which hopefully they don't, because it really, you need Qda, you would use your skin prep. And skin prep, you would just spray on them, and you see kind of it went on wet, right? And it's going to dry pretty fast, and it's going to create like a film, like a little medium over the area, okay? So most people are not going to need that generally, but you have to ask them. That's why we need to know, like, do you have any allergies? Have you ever been taped before? Have you ever used tape that I need to know that you've gotten itchy or broken out or hives or whatnot, okay? So once we've cleared them, the skin is dry and free of any oils, and then I'm gonna have you scooch down a smidge more, because you can see her musculoskeletal junction. You see that? That's kind of your marker. You need to make sure you can kind of see that zone, because that's going to be a good place for you to put your anchors, okay? So we're going to give her just a light spray. In this class, when you are using spray, and a lot of you guys, as you get used to using the tape and everything, you tend not to use it because you're just like, it takes so much effort to take it off your skin. That's okay. But in the ankles, I would give them a dusting of light spray, because it's going to help you learn, because your tape's going to actually stick in place. So when we're dealing with the foot and ankle, we generally need you to probably have a light spray. Other parts of the body, we can be a lot more forgiving throughout the semester, because it does take a lot of effort to get it off when you're not going to use the tape and play in it. So now we put our heel and lace pads on. Heel and lace pads are called heel and lace pads because why? They go where the heels and the laces are. Exactly. So that's important that we cover where the heel is, because that's going to be a good anchor point for a lot of our pieces of tape. And then you generally cover right in this crux of the ankle where a lot of the lacing starts to go up their leg. Okay? So now you see how that's kind of sticking on, not only because I have the Qda spray, but I have a little skin lube there. So now we take our pre-wrap. The pre-wrap, you're always going to roll like this. Okay, you're never going to roll pre-wrap like this, because you're going to get bungled up on the skin. So you always want to lay it down like so, okay? And you don't want to be all the way out here, because you're going to totally lose control. You want to stay really close. So do you see how I put about half on the heel and lace pad and half on her skin? That's a good general rule of thumb of where to be on the foot, okay? So we're going to come around. Okay, now we're going to create some tension on our pre-wrap, but not so much that it pulls or it starts to roll. Okay, so that's the key. You have to kind of get that feel. So what I'm going to do is just a very quick looping. You see how I covered her whole heel? And now I'm going 50%. You generally 50% on the one before, and then that gives you enough coverage for your pre-wrap. But I generally do like a really nice spiral right up the leg. Some people try to get fancy and like do all this stuff. Like, you don't have to get fancy. This is not the time. You just want to get right up that leg and just barrel through it. But you have to catch all of the skin, okay? So you want to kind of go around the foot a couple times, grab the heel, and then keep going up. And generally, you should then have covered enough of the foot, because what you don't want to have here is any skin holes. You don't want to have little holes where you left out, because we're going to put some heavy tape on there, And we're gonna leave room now for tape cut, okay, which we don't wanna do. Come a smidge more. Okay, so then what we have to do is we've gotta put our anchor on. So everyone's gonna practice this way. So if you see I've got my middle finger through the hole, okay? I'm gonna come underneath her. I grab her into some dorsiflexion. I pull it out just enough so I can see it. And you see how I just grabbed it, ripped it off, and then laid it down. We're gonna practice this. I'm underneath. I'm gonna lay, now 50% below is my next anchor. Do you see how my fingers are getting ready to grab that tape that's coming? I fold it back on itself and I rip it and I lay it down. My anchors are not really needing a ton of tension. They just are the anchors for the rest of the tape. So it was just a matter of getting it on firmly, but without pulling hard, okay? So now we're going to add our stirrup. Because we think this is a plantar flexion inversion ankle sprain, we're gonna take everything laterally. So we're gonna start our stirrup, and the most important angle for your stirrup is that you catch the malleoli, okay? I'm now creating tension. I'm even giving her more dorsiflexion tension. Can you see that? Because I just put my body into it. So for you guys, you have to hit that malleoli. You hit it on this side, and now we're gonna hit it on this side. Okay, and then I kind of smooth it out. You see that? I back off just enough time to grab another one. I give her a little nudge into some dorsiflexion, and I lay it down. Once my two stirrups are down, I lay my last anchor 50% below the one before, okay? So now I've got these anchors in place that are keeping her locked in. Now, generally, these are pretty close to each other. They can overlap a little bit. Like I could have spread them out a little bit more. Totally fine. As long as you do not get close to her foot, okay? We're not in the arch. We're not out here, we're not getting anywhere near the fifth met, right? We stay, you see how far back on her heel I am, right? On that calcaneus? That's important. Because often when you guys are new tapers, you're not paying attention to where you are underneath, because you're looking like this and then like this, and you kind of forget you have to be kind of on the back side of their leg and ankle, okay? So we want to be like kind of back there. Got it? Now outsiders, if we wanted to add outsiders, the only difference with an outsider is I would still come down the medial side, but I would start to fan a few more, okay? So I would kind of come off of this straight angle and I would fan them, but we'll do that at a separate time. Okay, so now we've got sort of like the crux of the basic ankle tape. Now we build all of our figure eights and our heel locks. Okay, so a figure eight always starts on which side? Medial side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna come, look how far back I am on that. Yeah, if you guys wanna come around and see. Look how far back on the angle I am here, okay? I'm not anywhere on even what's exposed still. You see it? Okay, that's gonna give you the best possible angle for your figure eight, okay? And the figure eight is gonna be the start of us locking in the talus and the calcaneus, okay? So now we go on this side, I come up over, the talus is in there, right? I come back around, I'm passing it, I still have a lot of tension on the tape. I pass it again, I make like an X, you see it? I land right where I started, okay? If this angle is off, you're not gonna land it. You're gonna end up like up on the leg, okay? That's the key angle. So it's not like that. It's not down like that to me. It's kind of like right there. You see it? So that'll be something you guys practice, is nailing that angle. Then we go into our heel locks. We start at the top of the leg, kind of like where that X was. We start over that little X. We have to now go behind the Achilles. That's why you had your heel and lace pad there, okay? So what we're gonna do now is go behind the Achilles, underneath it. I'm gonna pull it towards me. Now I'm gonna come back up. Look at that X again. You see it again? Go behind the leg. Okay? Which way did I just start? Medially or laterally?
Medially.
Okay. And so where did I end?
Laterally.
Okay? So those little tricks are going to help you. So I did one medially. Now I'm going to do one laterally. Same angle. Again, I'm not up here. I'm not down here. I'm like right where I think the mortise is. Okay? I go behind the Achilles. I pull it towards me. Okay? I still have a ton of tension on the tape. I come up. Look where I just crossed again, right? Behind, around. Do you hear how firm the rip of the tape is? That's how you know I have tension on it, okay? We good so far? So we did a medial and a lateral, so we're getting support from both sides. Now, for those of you who've done this before, or as you get good at this, you could do what's called a rolling heel lock, which means you don't cut it, you don't stop, you just keep going into your lateral or medial or whichever one you didn't do first, okay? That gets a little fancier. I'm fine if you want to practice that, but you have to nail your angles to practice that, okay? So now we're going to close out, we're going to put some C-strips on there. We're going to sort of clean everything up, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to think about that calcaneus. We're going to bisect the calcaneus, and we're going to kind of start coming up into the foot now. So this is like the first time you're seeing me like come onto where we have just the pre-wrap, okay? So I sort of bisect where I think the calcaneus is. I come up. This is where you have to respect the landmarks, the angles of each of your feet, okay? Now what we're gonna do is overlap 50% to the one before that. And you see how I'm starting to cover in some of this? 50%. Do you see how some of my angles right now are kind of on the down angle? Now watch what happens if I just about to cross her tibia. You see how they kind of almost went more horizontal? Now your last one or two, you see how they're kind of now going up? That's because I followed her anatomy. I didn't force the tape on. If you force the tape on, you're gonna see dog ears, okay? Like little pockets that are sticking up. And that's not what we want. So we wanna just perfectly lay all that down. You see that? So now it kind of looks nice and clean. We're gonna finish with our last figure 8, up and around, pulling around. Can you feel the tension I'm using? Yeah. And then she's now totally locked in. We're now gonna just clean up the top because I don't want the sock to roll this. This is just an easy lay down from the top to the bottom. See how I'm not even putting hardly any pressure because I don't wanna squeeze her mets, right? I don't wanna squeeze the foot like that. But now we're totally locked in, okay? And that's not gonna come up. Okay, so when they're done, the other thing you need to make sure that they know how to do is take this off. Because with you guys, when you're practicing,